carrying within it souls whose destinies were yet to unfold. Her beauty did not shout. It hummed softly, commanding attention the way the moon commands the ocean tides. "Haba, you two like man? Try to calm down, Jor?" "Please, forget that broke ass. Could you believe that fool bought me flowers on my birthday and a box of chocolate?" When they entered, the music seemed to bend towards them. The lights lingered upon them longer than anyone else. Eyes turned, necks craned. They were the epicenter of the room, the sun around which the night revolved, each carrying its travelers into the unknown.
You're about to hear a story that carries the heart of Africa. Subscribe to African Folktales by MaC-Anison TV, where every week we share rarest African folktales you won't find anywhere else. Your subscription is the fuel that inspires us to bring you the very best of our storytelling heritage. The bus rumbled like an old warrior groaning under the weight of its own scars. Its iron body trembled with every pothole it crossed, carrying within it souls whose destinies were yet to unfold. Dust rose in the harmattan-tinted air, kissing the window panes, and far beyond, the endless Nigerian highway stretched like a serpent, slithering into the horizon. Ifeoma sat quietly, her face pressed to the glass. Her eyes, wide, eager, yet shadowed with fear, devoured the unfamiliar landscapes rolling past. Red earth, thick forests, roadside traders balancing trays of oranges on their heads. Every sight whispered to her, "You have left the womb of your village. Now the world will test your spirit." Beside her sat Mary, radiant and confident, wrapped in the aura of modern Lagos girlhood. Her jeans clung tightly, her cropped top revealed a boldness Ifeoma only read about, and her eyelashes curved so long they seemed like tiny wings ready to take flight. She was beauty sharpened by city light, magnetic, self-assured, and full of words. Mary broke the silence first. "Casual, are you going to Lagos too?" Her voice carried that tone of easy friendship, like palm wine poured freely at a village gathering. Softly. "Yes, I am," Ifeoma replied softly, surprised. "Wow, that's good. Thoughtful. First time?" Quietly. "Yes." Mary smiled knowingly, the kind of smile city girls wear when they meet innocents dressed in village attire. She leaned closer, her perfume rising like incense. Teasing. "Do you have a boyfriend?" Ifeoma froze, the question stabbing through her thoughts like sudden lightning. Sharply. "No," she answered sharply, "and I'm not going because of that." Mary laughed, chuckles, a little mischievous chuckle that filled the space between them. But the road had its own plans. Their journey was broken again and again, sometimes by the hungry cough of the engine, sometimes by the thirst of the tires that needed air, sometimes by fuel that refused to flow like a stubborn river in the dry season. Each stop delayed Ifeoma's destiny. She was meant to arrive at Lagos University that very day, to step into its gates and begin her clearance for enrollment. Yet fate, like a trickster, held unseen cards in its hands. For across the bus aisle, Mary's phone buzzed with a call. She answered quickly, her voice sweetened with urban melody. Sweetly. "Hello, girlfriend." Excited. "What's up now?" Chuckles. "I just left the village, but I'm on my way to Lagos for the enrollment I told you about earlier." The voice on the other end replied with laughter and revelation. The university gates were locked, sealed by a public holiday. Enrollment would not resume until Monday. Mary's face lit up like festival fireworks, a brilliance that seemed to challenge the very night sky. Her eyes sparkled, reflecting a city that never slept, a city that demanded boldness and rewarded audacity. "Really? Oh, thank you for such juicy information. That means I'm hitting the club Friday night." Her friend's laughter danced across the line like summer wind through palm fronds, warm and effervescent. "At least we can catch some fun before next week, Monday." "Sure, baby girl," Mary giggled, her voice a melody threaded with excitement. "Hope you're coming over tonight. I can't wait to see you. I've got plenty gist." They exchanged their byes, dripping with affection, a ritual of human warmth in the cold tangle of Lagos streets.
All the while, Ifeoma remained silent, her heart heavy yet restless, fluttering like a trapped bird. Her eyes traced the road, absorbing every detail, the dust rising like incense from the dry earth, the sun bleeding into the horizon, the tireless energy of traders balancing trays of oranges and plantains. Yet her spirit lingered far behind, still anchored in her father's compound. She could almost see her mother's cooking smoke curling into the sky, ascending like prayers to the ancestors. She could hear her siblings' laughter echoing off the courtyard walls, a chorus of innocence now distant. She missed them profoundly. She wished for one more evening beneath the moonlit sky of her village, under stars that seemed closer, gentler, and infinitely wiser than these electric city lights. Mary turned suddenly, cutting through the quiet like a flute through thick fog. "Fine, girl. My name is Mary, but my friends call me May. What's your name?" "My name is Ifeoma," she replied, soft and cautious, a gentle river of words uncertain of its own course. "Wow," Mary said, eyes glittering like sunlight caught on water. "What a lovely name for a beautiful girl like you. So tell me, are you a student or just visiting Lagos?" Ifeoma shifted uncomfortably, the weight of unfamiliarity pressing down on her shoulders. "I'm a student. I'm going for enrollment at Lagos University." Mary clapped her hands in mock surprise, a sound like bells ringing in a sacred temple. "Really? Wow, what a coincidence. I'm also going for enrollment at Lagos University. But I just got a call. School's on holiday until Monday. Didn't you know?" Ifeoma's face fell like a calabash slipping from careless hands, shattering under the weight of unexpected reality. Her voice trembled, fragile as early morning mist. "Really? Oh no! What will I do now? Papa should have gotten the right information. Where will I stay till Monday?" Mary's eyes softened with concern, reflecting wisdom accumulated from navigating the harshness of Lagos streets. "You seem worried. What's the matter?" "The only money I have is for enrollment, accommodation, and feeding. I don't know anyone in Lagos. It's my first time here." Mary leaned back, her gaze thoughtful, as if tracing invisible patterns in the city's restless pulse. When the path is uncertain, one must walk with a companion," she murmured, echoing an old African proverb. "Don't worry, I live alone in Lagos. I rented an apartment outside school. I've actually been looking for a roommate. Accommodation inside campus is not so healthy." Ifeoma's brows furrowed, confusion and fear knitting her thoughts. "Why do you say so?" Mary chuckled knowingly, a sound that carried both amusement and caution, like the wind warning of a coming storm. "Because in school hostels you'll share with 3 or 4 roommates just to manage the cost. It's too much wahala, but with me you won't suffer that." Ifeoma sighed, a bitter cola lodged in the throat of her heart. Regret nibbled at her resolve. Had she rushed blindly into this sprawling, merciless city? Had her parents unknowingly sent her into a place where innocence alone could be a fragile shield against hardship? She borrowed Mary's phone to call home. The line rang into silence, as though her father's voice had been swallowed by the air itself. Every attempt ended in a void, a silence so profound it seemed almost sacred, carrying the weight of worlds she could not touch. "What's all this? Why today? Why me?" she whispered, her voice trembling like a leaf in Harmattan wind. Passengers nearby exchanged pitiful glances, their silent empathy a balm in the dusty heat of the bus. Mary placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Don't be afraid, Ifeoma. You can be my roommate if you don't mind. That way you'll save money and still have peace. You'll even have something left to buy books and take care of yourself. Trust me, dear, it will help you and it will help me too." Tears swelled in Ifeoma's eyes, gratitude rising like a river breaking through a dam. "Thank you. I don't even know how to thank you." Mary smiled, warm as dawn sunlight spilling over the city's jagged rooftops. "Don't thank me. I liked you the moment I saw you. There's a charm around you. The river does not drink its own water, it flows to quench the thirst of others. We are meant to help each other." And so, on that weary bus journey beneath the dust and noise of the Lagos highway, a fragile bond was born. A friendship glittering with promise, yet shadowed with uncertainty. But the question lingered like thunder behind distant clouds. Would this friendship be a light guiding Ifeoma's destiny, or a darkness waiting to swallow her? The air of Lagos carried its own weight that evening, thick, restless, humming with the noise of life and unspoken dreams. As Ifeoma stepped into Mary's apartment for the first time, she paused just past the threshold, like one who had crossed a bridge into a different world. Mary smiled with the welcoming pride of a hostess who knows her space is not palatial, but still carries the warmth of survival and self-made dignity. She spread her arms wide as though to present a treasure chest. "Mary, you're welcome to my lovely home aboard. It isn't all that fancy, but at least it's comfortable and gives me privacy." The words rolled off her tongue lightly, but beneath them lingered the pride of a young woman who had fought Lagos tooth and nail to carve out her own corner of peace. Ifeoma's gaze wandered. The one-bedroom apartment, though modest, was tastefully arranged. The parlor carried a softness that came from deliberate touch. Curtains carefully ironed, chairs aligned, a small rug in the center that gave the impression of warmth. The kitchen door stood slightly ajar, and from where she stood, Ifeoma could glimpse neatly arranged plates and spices, the little kingdom of a woman who knew the discipline of order. The walls whispered of sacrifice and careful budgeting. To Ifeoma, fresh from her parents' house in the village, this was no mere apartment. It was an empire. Ifeoma: "Wow, your place is really nice and spacious, too. How do you manage the bills here? It looks expensive." Her words held no envy, only admiration wrapped in innocent curiosity. Mary leaned against the arm of her sofa, crossing her arms with the casual confidence of one who had long embraced the Lagos struggle. "Mary, oh, that shouldn't be a problem, dear. I work outside school, too. I'm a part-time student, not full-time." The casual revelation struck Ifeoma like a pebble hitting still water. Her brows furrowed as she tilted her head. "Ifeoma, really? A part-time student? I was told being a part-time student is more expensive than being a full-time student. So how do you cope? Paying school fees, accommodation, and upkeep?" Her voice trembled with the genuine bewilderment of someone trying to calculate a puzzle of survival. Mary chuckled softly, her laughter not mocking but seasoned with the wisdom of someone who had carried her own burdens. "Mary, yeah, it's true. Being a part-time student is more expensive than being a full-time student. But dear, being a part-time student is much more helpful than being a full-time student. It gives you time. You can work and school and still have time for yourself." Her eyes glittered as she spoke, as though she had just laid a secret weapon on the table. Ifeoma blinked in awe, her lips parting slowly. "Ifeoma, really? Never thought about it. So I can work and school at the same time?" Her voice carried the tone of revelation, like a farmer who suddenly realizes that the seed in his hand can grow into a forest. "Mary, yes, you can, and that's not all. You can do part-time jobs, enroll as a part-time student, and still learn a skill that could fetch you more money in time to come." The wisdom hung heavy in the air like an African proverb painted in invisible ink on the walls. The river that forgets its source will dry up. The student who forgets to work will eat hunger. Ifeoma's chest rose and fell with new fire. "Ifeoma, wow, it seems being a part-time student is far more beneficial than being a full-time student." Mary leaned closer, lowering her voice into the cadence of an elder whispering counsel by moonlight. "Mary, yes, it is. Plus, think about it this way. You'll be able to fend for yourself in school without asking for your parents' assistance." The words pierced Ifeoma's heart like a sharpened arrow, striking the very place where duty to family lived. Mary paused, then asked gently, "Mary, do you know what this means?" Ifeoma, "No, please, tell me." Mary inhaled deeply before answering, her tone carrying the rhythm of an ancient griot passing down truth. "Mary, well, it means you'll be less of a burden to your parents. Your parents get to support you when they can." Silence wrapped the room, thick and thoughtful. Ifeoma's mind drifted back home, to her mother's tired eyes, to her father's weather-beaten palms, to the younger siblings who still sat on the cold classroom benches of the village school, waiting for destiny. The weight of Mary's words settled on her spirit, heavy yet empowering. The thought came like a dawn, She would no longer be a weight but a wing, no longer a burden but a blessing. And so, like the iron that glows brightest after the fire, Ifeoma became more determined than ever to make her parents proud, to rise high so that her siblings could follow in her shadow of triumph. That day, her life pivoted. That day, she began to live with Mary as roommates. The morning after dawned like a slow-breathing drum beat, heavy with the promise of something unseen. Mary's friend came the next day, being Thursday. The Lagos sun poured its golden rays through dusty curtains, falling upon walls that seemed to listen. In African wisdom they say, every new day is a messenger that carries unknown gifts beneath its wrapper. This Thursday was such a day. There was a knock on the wooden door. 3 sharp raps, full of energy, full of life. Mary rushed to open the door. Her feet barely kissed the tiled floor. Her heart leapt, for she knew that rhythm belonged to only one person. The door creaked open, and there stood Jessica, radiant, bold, the kind of friend who brought storms and laughter wherever she stepped. Her perfume, laced with the heat of Lagos dust and the sweetness of foreign lotions, swept into the room before her. "Hi, darling, how are you doing? Nice to see you." Jessica's voice rang like a bell across the room, filled with mischief and genuine warmth. Without hesitation, she wrapped her arms around Mary in a hug that carried history, the laughter of school days, the whispered secrets of adolescence, the comfort of knowing that some bonds could not be broken. "What's up, babe?" she teased, pulling back to look at Mary's glowing face. Jessica stepped into the modest apartment, her eyes scanning the space like a hawk that never missed detail. "How was your trip to Lagos?" she asked, the question laced with concern but softened by familiarity. Mary, adjusting her wrapper, exhaled with quiet calm. "Fine there. How have you been? It's been a while." They both exchanged pleasantries, words that floated in the air like butterflies, light but carrying unspoken meanings. For in Africa, greetings are more than custom. They are the oil that keeps the wheel of friendship moving. A person who does not greet is like a tree that refuses the rain, the elders would say. Jessica's laughter filled the room as she settled into the worn sofa, yet her sharp eyes, restless as always, caught something at the dining table. There, like a painting brought to life, sat a girl, a very beautiful, fair-skinned girl with pink lips and full cheeks. She was bent over a book, her brow furrowed, her spirit lost in pages that whispered futures. Her beauty did not shout. It hummed softly, commanding attention the way the moon commands the ocean tides. Jessica leaned closer to Mary, curiosity pricking her like thorns. "Who is that beautiful girl sitting at the dining table?" Mary turned her head, her lips curving in pride, almost maternal. "Oh, that's Ifeoma, my new roommate." Jessica blinked, puzzled, her brows dancing. "Roommate? Please, tell me what I'm missing." "When? How?" Mary raised her hand like a storyteller about to weave truth. "Calm down. First things first. That's Ifeoma. I met her at the bus station. We boarded the same bus coming to Lagos. Plus, she's here for the Lagos University enrollment. She didn't have anywhere to go to stay, so I offered to help her." Jessica's eyes widened, admiration and shock wrestling in her expression. Oh man. She looks like a goddess. So beautiful." Mary chuckled knowingly. "Yeah, she truly is. The moment I saw her, I liked her immediately. Since she didn't have a place to stay, I decided to make her my roommate." Jessica leaned back, her face softening into respect. "That was really thoughtful of you. Poor girl." Her gaze drifted back to the radiant Ifeoma, who still swam deep in her books, unaware of being the subject of wonder. Jessica, brimming with energy, called out, "Hi, Ifeoma, how are you doing? My name is Jessica, Mary's friend." Ifeoma, startled from her academic trance, looked up. Her eyes, dark pools of curiosity and gentleness, locked with Jessica's. The weight of Lagos, the strangeness of a new city lingered on her features, but her voice was calm. "Hi, Jessica. Nice to meet you." Jessica's smile widened. "Same here, dear." With that, Ifeoma returned quietly to her book, like a river flowing back to its course, leaving Jessica shaking her head in amazement. She turned to Mary, lowering her voice into a conspiratorial whisper. Damn, that babe is really beautiful. Mary rolled her eyes, her laughter bubbling like palm wine poured fresh. It's okay now, before you eat my roommate. You've been saying this for the past 5 minutes you came here. Their laughter filled the room, bouncing off the walls, binding them once again in the unspoken language of friendship. As the laughter waned, Mary's voice shifted, serious yet curious. What about Fred? Have you heard from him since that day? Jessica straightened, a spark igniting in her gaze. Yes, I have. He even told me that he'll be going to the club tomorrow, being Friday. Mary's eyes widened, excitement rushing like a flood. Really? Jessica nodded, her tone almost triumphant. Yes. Plus he's coming with Daniel and Michael. Mary clapped her hands, giddy. Wow, babe, this info just made my day. Jessica laughed, shaking her head. Haba, you two like man? Try to calm down, Jor? Mary sat up straighter, mock serious. Point of correction, I don't like men. I like fine, handsome, cute guys, and those guys are super cute. Jessica raised her brows, smirking. True, they are. Heard that Michael just came back from Paris last month. I will be going to the United States next week. Mary's jaw dropped. Wow, that guy is fucking rich. Jessica wagged her finger. Point of correction, baby doll. They are all rich. And guess what? I'm getting myself a boyfriend tomorrow. Mary's gasp was audible. How about James, your boyfriend? Jessica's lips curled into mock disdain. You mean ex-boyfriend? Mary froze, puzzled. Ex-boyfriend? But you guys just started dating. What happened? Jessica leaned forward, her tone filled with fire. Please, forget that broke ass. Could you believe that fool bought me flowers on my birthday and a box of chocolate? Mary erupted into uncontrollable laughter, her body shaking. I'd missed laughter, really, this one not telemundo una de do. Omo, see love, me, I go love, oh God, when. She kept laughing. Jessica rolled her eyes, but smiled despite herself. Mary wiped her tears. I don't blame you. Sorry now you two did this, so somebody cannot play with you again. Mary's tone softened, but her eyes gleamed. But wait, though, just like that, he became your ex. Jessica folded her arms, resolute. I told you I don't date broke guys. I need a guy who can take care of me. I mean, look at me now. Check me out. With that, Jessica stood up from the couch and turned around, her hips swaying like drums in motion, her confidence filling the small apartment. Mary's approving nod came like a queen's verdict. Sure, baby girl, you two set. They both burst into laughter again, their voices a symphony of friendship, foolishness, and dreams. And all this while, Ifeoma was busy studying. She didn't pay attention to their conversation, but the walls did, the air did. And in that silence, the ancestors too listened, for in Africa, what the young ones speak in jest, the elders often see as prophecy. Friday night had fallen over Lagos with a velvet darkness pierced by restless neon lights and the restless hunger of the city. In Mary's small apartment, the air buzzed with the anticipation of nightlife. Perfumes mingled with the faint hum of distant traffic, and the mirror reflected two young women sculpting themselves into visions of glamour. Mary and Jessica were preparing for the club, their laughter bright as bangles clinking against wrists, their chatter carrying the excitement of youth. Lipstick traced confidence onto their mouths, heels tapped impatient rhythms onto the tiled floor. Their room glowed with music from a portable speaker, Afro beats pulsing like a second heartbeat. But across the dining table, a different story was being written. Ifeoma sat hunched over her books, the light from the reading lamp falling onto her pages like a spotlight on destiny. She turned pages slowly, with a discipline that spoke of sacrifices made in silence. Her pen danced across margins, her lips whispering formulas, her eyes steady despite the laughter and music rising behind her. Mary turned, hairpins between her fingers, her voice slicing into Ifeoma's world. Ifeoma, you're still reading? Ifeoma looked up, her gaze calm, though shadows of fatigue lingered beneath her eyes. Mary chuckled, shaking her head. Serious student. You've been reading for the past 4 hours now. Anyway, we are preparing to go to the club now. Wouldn't you want to join us? The question hung in the air like smoke. Ifeoma blinked, surprised at the suggestion. Her heart tugged briefly between curiosity and the weight of responsibility. Me? Join you? I haven't been to such places before, she said, her voice wrapped in innocence. Mary's brows lifted, truly astonished. Really? So you really meant it when you told me you didn't have a boyfriend? I thought you were kidding or just being shy. Ifeoma shook her head gently, her words firm yet tender, the conviction of her spirit shining through. I was serious when I said so. Plus, I'm here to study. I have an obligation to make my parents proud. They gave up their dreams for mine. They sacrificed everything just to bring me this far. I can't disappoint them now. At her words, the air seemed to pause. For a moment, the music in the background felt distant, almost irrelevant. Mary's eyes softened, her laughter quieting into understanding. She nodded slowly, her voice more solemn now. I understand you there, but at some point, you will need help, and it's only the people you meet today that can help you tomorrow. Remember, Lagos is not a bed of roses, but of sacrifices. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be focused, but all work and no play make Jack a dull boy. Her words were more than casual advice. They were a seed, small but potent, planted deep in Ifeoma's spirit. In Africa, elders say, the words that fall into the ear are like rain that falls into the soil. One never knows which seed will grow. That night, while Mary and Jessica painted their lips and perfected their beauty for the gaze of men, Ifeoma stared at her books, but her heart carried Mary's words like a pebble dropped into still water, rippling questions across her calm resolve. How will I cope? Will my path of solitude be enough in this city of endless faces and countless temptations? Yet she steadied herself. With God, with my parents' sacrifices, and with the fire of discipline, I will endure. I will make them proud. At 10 p.m., Mary and Jessica arrived at the club. Lagos nightlife embraced them instantly. Their beauty was undeniable, their dresses clinging like shadows of fire to their figures. When they entered, the music seemed to bend towards them. The lights lingered upon them longer than anyone else. Eyes turned, necks craned. They were the epicenter of the room, the sun around which the night revolved. Fred, Daniel, and Michael spotted them and called out, voices raised above the DJ's thunderous beats. The girls floated towards them with smiles blooming like hibiscus at dawn. Mary and Jessica exchanged quick glances, their faces glowing under the club's kaleidoscope lights. Thanks, guys, they chimed, their voices almost musical. Fred leaned forward, his eyes wide with admiration. Wow, girls, you're both looking breathtaking. Daniel nodded eagerly. I totally agree with you. Michael added with a suave smile. Nice outfit. Mary and Jessica exchanged quick glances, their faces glowing under the club's kaleidoscope lights. Thanks, guys, they chimed, their voices almost musical. The night unfolded in a rhythm of pleasure. Bottles uncorked, laughter spilled, feet danced. They ate, they drank, they moved with the energy of youth untamed. It was clear to anyone watching, they were living a moment they would never forget, a night carved in neon and laughter. But elsewhere, Ifeoma's lamp still glowed in her room. Her world was quiet, save for the scratch of pen on paper and the soft hum of her thoughts. Two paths, one of fleeting pleasure, one of enduring sacrifice, stretched apart like twin rivers, each carrying its travelers into the unknown.